Imagine a creature so terrifying that an entire civilization built an inescapable maze just to contain it. This is the story of the Minotaur. The Minotaur is one of the most iconic monsters in Greek mythology. Half man and half bull, this creature embodied the Greeks' fascination with the blurred lines between human and beast. With the muscular body of a man and the head of a bull, the Minotaur was a sight that struck fear into the hearts of ancient Greeks. But the Minotaur wasn't just any monster. It was a creature born of divine punishment, a living reminder of the consequences of defying the gods. Trapped within the winding corridors of the Labyrinth, the Minotaur became a symbol of the dark, bestial nature that lurks within humanity, waiting to be unleashed. The tale of the Minotaur is more than just a monster story. It's a complex narrative that touches on themes of hubris, punishment, heroism, and the struggle between civilization and savagery. As we delve deeper into the myth, we'll see how this bull-headed beast came to represent some of the most profound fears and aspirations of ancient Greek society. The Minotaur's birth was the result of a king's pride, a god's wrath, and a queen's unnatural passion. But how did this monstrous union come to be? Our story begins on the island of Crete. In the palace of King Minos, Minos was one of 3 brothers vying for the throne of Crete. To prove his right to rule, Minos prayed to the sea god Poseidon, asking for a sign of divine favor. Poseidon answered by sending a magnificent white bull from the sea, with the understanding that Minos would sacrifice the bull in Poseidon's honor. However, when Minos saw the bull's beauty, he was overcome with greed. Instead of sacrificing the divine bull, he kept it for himself, offering a lesser animal to Poseidon. This act of deceit enraged the god, who decided to exact a terrible revenge. Poseidon enlisted the help of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, to curse Minos' wife, Queen Pasiphae. The curse inflamed Pasiphae with an unnatural passion for the white bull. Consumed by this divine madness, Pasiphae sought the help of Daedalus, the legendary craftsman. Daedalus constructed a wooden cow, hollow inside, that allowed Pasiphae to satisfy her unnatural desires. The result of this union was the Minotaur, a creature with the body of a man and the head of a bull. The birth of the Minotaur was thus a direct consequence of human pride and divine retribution. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of defying the gods and the monstrous outcomes that can result from unchecked desires. The Minotaur, in its very existence, became a living embodiment of shame and punishment for the royal family of Crete. How do you hide a monster that's a constant reminder of your shame? If you're King Minos, you build the most intricate maze the world has ever seen. When the Minotaur was born, King Minos was horrified. The creature was a constant reminder of his wife's infidelity and his own hubris in defying Poseidon. As the Minotaur grew, it became increasingly violent and difficult to control. Minos needed a solution to contain this monstrous offspring without killing it outright. Once again, Minos turned to Daedalus, the master craftsman who had inadvertently aided in the Minotaur's creation. Minos commissioned Daedalus to build a structure so complex that the Minotaur could never escape, the Labyrinth. This vast maze, built beneath the palace of Knossos, was designed to be inescapable. Its twisting corridors and dead ends were said to confuse even the most intelligent of beings. With the Minotaur safely contained within the Labyrinth, Minos faced another problem: how to feed the creature. In a cruel twist, Minos demanded that Athens, a rival city-state, pay a regular tribute of 7 young men and 7 young women to be sent into the Labyrinth as sacrifices for the Minotaur. This gruesome tribute continued for years, striking fear into the hearts of Athenians and cementing Crete's dominance over the region. The Labyrinth became more than just a prison for the Minotaur. It was a symbol of Minos' power and the lengths to which he would go to hide his shame. The maze's complexity mirrored the tangled web of deceit, pride, and punishment that had led to the Minotaur's creation. In Greek mythology, the Labyrinth stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the often destructive consequences of our attempts to control the uncontrollable. Every monster needs a hero to vanquish it. For the Minotaur, that hero came in the form of a young prince named Theseus. Theseus, the son of King Aegeus of Athens, was determined to end the cruel tribute demanded by King Minos. He volunteered to be one of the 7 young men sent to Crete, with the intention of slaying the Minotaur and freeing Athens from its terrible obligation. Upon arriving in Crete, Theseus caught the eye of Princess Ariadne, daughter of King Minos. Falling in love with the heroic youth, Ariadne decided to help Theseus in his quest. She provided him with a ball of thread, the famous thread of Ariadne, and instructed him to tie one end to the entrance of the Labyrinth. This would allow him to find his way back out after confronting the Minotaur. Armed with this clever solution and his own courage, Theseus entered the Labyrinth. He navigated the confusing passages, all the while unraveling the thread behind him. At the heart of the maze, he encountered the fearsome Minotaur. In a fierce battle, Theseus managed to slay the monster, putting an end to its reign of terror. Following the thread back through the labyrinth, Theseus emerged victorious. He fled Crete with Ariadne and the other Athenian youths, finally freeing his city from the dreadful tribute. The tale of Theseus and the Minotaur is one of the most famous in Greek mythology. It exemplifies the heroic ideal, a brave individual using both strength and wit to overcome a seemingly insurmountable challenge. The story also highlights the importance of assistance and ingenuity, as represented by Ariadne's thread. In achieving victory, the Minotaur wasn't just a mythical monster, it was a powerful symbol that permeated ancient Greek culture. But what did it represent to the people of that time? In ancient Greek society, the Minotaur represented more than just a fearsome beast. It was a complex symbol that touched on various aspects of their culture and beliefs. The Minotaur embodied the concept of hubris, the dangerous pride that leads humans to defy the gods. King Minos' decision to keep the divine bull, rather than sacrifice it as promised, was an act of hubris that resulted in the Minotaur's creation. This served as a cautionary tale about the consequences of challenging divine will. Secondly, the Minotaur represented the struggle between civilization and savagery. Its human body and bull's head symbolized the constant battle between human reason and animal instinct. The Labyrinth, a complex human-made structure housing this bestial creature, further emphasized this dichotomy. The Minotaur also played a role in ancient Greek art and literature. Depictions of Theseus slaying the Minotaur were popular subjects in Greek vase paintings and sculptures. The creature's image was even used on coins minted in Crete, suggesting its importance to local identity. Moreover, the myth of the Minotaur had political implications. Athens' triumph over the monster, through Theseus, symbolized the city's growing power and its resistance against Cretan dominance in the Aegean. The Minotaur's enduring presence in Greek culture demonstrates how myths often served as vehicles for exploring complex ideas about human nature, society, and the relationship between mortals and gods. Far from being just a monster story, the tale of the Minotaur was a rich narrative that reflected and shaped Greek cultural values and beliefs. Could the myth of the Minotaur be more than just a legend? Some historians believe it might be rooted in the real-life Minoan civilization of ancient Crete. The Minoan civilization flourished on the island of Crete from around 3000 to 1100 BCE, long before the classical Greek period. This advanced Bronze Age society, named after the legendary King Minos, may have provided the historical backdrop for the Minotaur myth. Archaeological excavations at Knossos, believed to be the site of King Minos' palace, have revealed a vast and complex structure. The intricate layout of the palace, with its maze-like network of rooms and corridors, could have inspired the idea of the labyrinth in the Minotaur myth. Interestingly, the Minoans seem to have a particular fascination with bulls. Bull imagery is prevalent in Minoan art, including the famous bull-leaping frescoes found at Knossos. These depict acrobats performing dangerous feats with bulls, possibly as part of religious rituals. This cultural emphasis on bulls could have contributed to the creation of a bull-headed monster in later Greek mythology. Moreover, the Minoan civilization was a dominant maritime power in the Mediterranean. The tribute of Athenian youths in the Minotaur myth might reflect historical, political relationships between Crete and mainland Greece during the Minoan period. While we can't say for certain that the Minotaur myth is based on historical events, it's clear that elements of Minoan culture and history likely influenced the development of the legend. The myth of the Minotaur may be a way that later Greeks interpreted and remembered the power and mystery of the earlier Minoan civilization. Let's take a moment to imagine life from the Minotaur's perspective. What might it have been like to be this misunderstood creature? Asterius, for that was the Minotaur's given name, lumbered through the dark corridors of the Labyrinth. His heavy breaths echoed off the stone walls, the only sound in his silent prison. He had long lost count of the days since he'd last seen sunlight or felt a breeze on his face. Suddenly, he caught a scent. Humans had entered the labyrinth. His stomach growled, reminding him of the hunger that was his constant companion. But as he moved towards the scent, another feeling stirred within him, loneliness. For a moment, Asterius hesitated. Part of him, the human part, yearned for companionship, for someone to see him as more than a monster. But the bull within him, driven by hunger and rage, took control. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the labyrinth, Asterius charged towards his prey, hating himself even as he did so. In this moment, we see the tragedy of the Minotaur, a creature torn between its human consciousness and its bestial nature, forever trapped in a prison not just of stone, but of its own dual identity. The myth of the Minotaur is more than just a tale of a monster in a maze. It's a complex narrative that touches on fundamental aspects of the human experience, the struggle between our civilized and savage natures, the consequences of pride and defiance, and the power of ingenuity and heroism to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. If you enjoyed this journey through the labyrinth of the Minotaur, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Bullet Point History for more fascinating dives into the stories that have shaped our world.